My dear brother, children of one God, my fellow souls, namaste. Those of you who have heard me speak before, I believe in universal love. I believe in the kind of love that we should show to all of God's creatures. I believe that this should be the goal of every single human being. For each of us, this should be our spiritual goal. Make no mistake about it. Practicing this kind of love, this kind of oneness with the universe will take us to a higher spiritual plane. I do not see a world full of strangers. I see a world in which we're all brothers and sisters, children of one God. If we examine the components of what I call universal love, we'll find that it is made up of tolerance and understanding and humility and kindness and caring, empathy and compassion and patience. It is an achievable spiritual state of mind. So I call it universal love. In my studying of the Bhagavad Gita, there is this verse, chapter 18, verse 42, in all aspects of our lives. So how do we deal with it? How do we think about it? How should we think about it? It seems that we find controversy everywhere, emotional disagreements and arguments with our loved ones, our families, our friends, co-workers. We find others who do not like us for many reasons. Maybe they don't share our philosophy. Maybe they don't share in what we think of oneness with the universe. Maybe they don't share in our belief of one family. Maybe they don't like the color of our skin. There's so many differences. There's so many ways in which people would hold something against each other. But how do we deal with it? An equation. We control our half of the equation. So if we engage in the gossip circles of phone calls and about the lives of others, we will find controversy everywhere. And we will find hate and dislike all around us. So if we're in the mode of constantly feeding our own ego, and we're always being critical in what others do and what they say, we live with constant controversy in our lives. So here's my first and most important point. We must understand that there is no rule book or law that says that others absolutely have to like me. There's no rule book that says that. That distinction comes from their own level of thinking. But as a child of God and as a member of society, I owe it to society to make myself a respectable, likable, honest, and truthful person, and behave in such a manner that others may not have to like me, but I have made myself likable and approachable as a child of God. It is perfectly okay if others don't like you. However, as divine and spiritual beings, I will tell you this: I should harbor no dislike or hate for anyone else. I should not respond to dislike with dislike. Because someone dislikes me does not mean that I have to also dislike them. It is easy to respond in kind. But when we give it thought and we apply what we learn from our Vedas and our Bhagavad Gita, we realize that no. Even though the snake does what snakes do, they bite, we as spiritual beings, shall love the snake regardless of its bite. This is what we shall do. We have to lead by example. We must realize that each of us were born out of love, with love, for love, and to love. We were born with that ability to love with divine love. We were not born to hate and dislike. We were born to forgive. We seek forgiveness. Let us forgive first. So especially in Mandir, a place we're supposed to instill peace in our hearts. I always say that in Mandir, our peaceful state of our hearts should make us incapable of saying negative things. Negative words should not come out of our minds. In Mandir, a place that should bring out divine qualities within us. It should make us, the peaceness of a mandir should make it impossible for us to raise our voice in anger or to say words that hurt and inflict pain. Those of us who behave in this manner definitely are not of the sattvic nature. But do not be discouraged or disheartened, for this is our challenge. As a humble child of God, we have to recognize our own failings, and we have to accept them and be committed to changing them. This is our goal. This is our spiritual goal. That tomorrow I be better than today, and next week I am a better person than I am this week, and next year I must be a better person than I am this year. And this mode of spiritual progress should continue until I have become one of pure mind. This is our spiritual goal. The Atharva Veda says, Om Shukrosi Prajosi Swarasi Jyotirasi Apnohi Shreyam Samati Samam Krama. Oh man, you are Shukra, dauntless, brave, and valiant, the pride of society. You are gifted with Prajaha, divine and radiant Jyoti, light. It is within, but we have shrouded it. You must apnuhi. You must rise yourself above. Meaning that always take the high road. We heard of that expression. Somebody say something. Instead of responding with the first thing that comes to mind, rationalize. Think before we say. Take the high road. And krama, surpass your equals and become shreyansam, superior to others in this journey of life. This beautiful mantra encourages to rise above and to continue rising above. Like we said, tomorrow we should be a better person than we are today, and that should continue. But how many of us know people who say, I will never change. I am this way and you like me this way, or I don't care. I say people who say that, again, we say that at our level of thinking. Walk the higher road. That's what we shall do. So one time, this Bhaiji told me that, Bhaiji, you can never please everyone. My answer to him was, Bhaiji, that should not stop me from trying. Should that stop me from trying? Because someone don't like me, I respond in kind that makes me as they are. We have to remember that if we do as others do, we are as others are. Walk the higher road. Bhagavad Gita says, Yoga yukto vishuddhatma vichit atma chitindriya sarva bhutatma bhutatma kurvan api nalipyate. One who works in devotion, yoga yuktaha, engage in devotional service. And let's say this is not just engaging, this is how you're living your life. This is what Shloka is telling us. So that person who lives his life in this manner, who is a pure soul and controls his mind and senses, Vijita Atma, self-control, and Jita Indriya, having control and conquer the senses. The person who is dear to everyone and everyone is dear to him, treat everybody alike. I treat Behen Nadira as I treat my own sister. I should treat all others as I do my own sister. I should treat all other my Paijis as I do my own brother. The basis of this universal divine love we're talking about. Though always working, meaning that just like you heard about the lotus flower that grows out of mud, but still rises above. So even though we're in society, this shloka says that even though we're around everybody else, we do not get entangled. Our mind remains pure. Rise above. Think above. Not do as others always do. So let's imagine that you're in sixth grade. Do you expect to be able to explain the material you're learning to a kindergartner? By the same token, you're college educated. Would you expect to be able to explain your college level thinking to a fourth grader? But isn't this how we think and we act towards everybody else? We expect that they should understand what we're thinking. And if they don't understand, we dislike them and we hate them. And we badmouth them and we say all kinds of things about them. This is an unreasonable expectation, is it not? What am I saying? And I'd like to make sure that we all understand this. The things people do and the things they say are done at the level of thinking at which they exist. I'll repeat that. The things we do and the things we say are done at the level of thinking at which we exist. People aren't wrong. There might be 100 people over there thinking that Pandit Chag, oh, he's an idiot. You know what? It's okay. At their level of thinking, I'm an idiot. I'm okay with that. There's no reason why I need to defend myself against that. What we can do, however, is help to change their level of thinking. And that can only happen when they are ready to have their level of thinking changed. By me forcing my opinion and forcing them, you listen to me, this is what I think. All I'm doing is feeding my ego. So we have to understand that people think and do things at their level of thinking, and at their thinking, they are right. I might look out from my back window and see my neighbor praying to a bush. Who am I to judge him? If praying to that bush brings him some sort of peace of mind at his level of thinking, he is right. I can, however, go to him and say, hey, you want to go to Monday with me? You want to show him something different. Not hit him over the head and say, you learned, you were wrong, and I'm right. No. At his level of thinking, he is right. Bhagavad Gita continues, Apala akankshabhiriyajno vidhi drishta yadichyate yashtav yam iva iti manaha samadhaya sa sadvikaha. Sri Bhagwan explains the type of sacrifice which is done in the state of righteous thinking, the things we do when we think in a righteous manner. He explains that yajna, the sacrifice that is performed according the right way, And we could say the moral code of conduct that we conduct ourselves with. Apalakanksha, meaning that the sacrifice which we should do should be performed without expecting any rewards. I come here not because I want. I don't care if people knows my name. It is not important. It is not about the messenger. It is about the message. And I've always said that there could be 200 people here, but if they leave without knowing my name, but they understand my message, job well done. It is not about my name. So, doing without expectation of reward. With samadhaya, firm conviction of the mind, knowing and accepting to my heart that what I do is the truth. And I do with a pure and honest heart. The kind of action which is good and godly. Shloka says, this is the righteous form of worship. If, however, I come in here wanting everybody to know my name and where I came from and who taught me and what I am, and all I'm doing is feeding my ego. And Bhagavad Gita devotes chapters on dealing on how to conquer the ego. And yet we spend so much of our lives feeding it. So we have to focus on our part of the relationship. In every controversy, in every relationship, there's two parts of the equation. I have control over my part of the equation. The things I do and the things I say dictate how the other person will react to me. Change the things I do and change the things I say, and I will change how the other person reacts. So if you look at it like this, then we are in control, are we not? You see, the sacred selfless intention of yajna sometimes is missing because we do yajnas for the wrong reason. We do yajnas to show off the big house or the nice car or all of the wealth that we have. And the intention of yajna is missing. Again, at that level of thinking, that person is right. We have to be understanding and we should not be judgmental. Compared to the fourth grade person who can't understand college level thinking. It's okay. But you see, we have to realize that on Sundays we come here and we sing the same bhajans and we sing the same mantras and we expect somehow magically things will change in our lives. And when we do not, then we turn to God and we say, oh God, why not? Why me? Yet God gave us that power within ourselves, a distinction to make changes in our life, which starts with how we think. So I ask you today, let us remember that the way we think determines how others respond to us. Let us change the way we think, and we will determine the change that we want in others. So regarding feeding the ego, let me put it this way. If there's 1,000 people across over there again saying bad things about here, about our members here, does it matter? Does it really change anything? Does it really matter? Should we go and tell other people about what they're saying and what they're... No. Because a lot of times when how we respond to a certain situation make that situation huge, or it dissipates into nothing. We determine that. So I'll tell you this little story, and in this story I think we all will get it. Centuries ago there was this king with this beautiful castle. He had a big loyal dog, and the dog used to kind of walk around. He had this hall of mirrors. So it was this big hall that all the walls were mirrors, where he used to entertain his royal guests. And one day they left the hall door open, and at night the dog happened to walk into this hall of mirrors. And when he walked into this hall of mirrors, he saw 100 other dogs looking at him. and he barked, and 100 other dogs barked. And the more he barked, the louder the other ones barked, and they kept barking and barking and barking until he could bark no more. And he just fell asleep. So I ask you this. What was it that this dog could have done to quiet all the other dogs?
Just be quiet.
Stop barking. Be quiet. If he quieted himself, he would have quieted the 100 other dogs. So I don't mean that we should go about calling other people dogs, but when you hear a gossip, the quickest way to quiet it is not to mention it. Right? So, but we do the same. The dog saw hundreds of images of all the dogs that he has created. Reflections of himself that bark back at him. When all he needed to do was find peace and quiet in himself. What I'm saying is that the reactions we saw in other people, the barking we hear from other people, started with us. Think about that. It really started with us. It started with how we reacted to a certain circumstance. But if we had quieted the dog in ourselves, and we would have quieted all the other dogs. So how do we respond to controversies in our own life? This determines whether or not we find peace in ourselves. But what happens is we create all these other dogs, and then we get sick, and then we get frustrated, and then our blood pressure goes up, and we suffer from health issues and all of this stuff because we have started the barking, or we have carried it on, and all we needed to do was be quiet. So we choose to create all these other dogs, and we keep barking all the time. So I'd like to ask you this. Why do we do what we do? At Mandir, why do we do what we do? Do we do what we do out of goodness of our hearts? Do we commit ourselves to Mandir and doing all the things we do for the sake of Mandir because we believe it is the right thing to do from the bottom of our hearts? Or do we do it for the sake of achieving something? Do we do it for our names being called and for recognition, feeding the ego? This is a very important question. It tells us whether we are on a spiritual journey or a material journey. It helps us to identify which of the three gunas we exist in. Sattva, Rajas, or Tamas. And for those of you who this might be strange, Sattva or Sattvic thinking means that you're engaged in thoughts, words, and deeds which leads to spiritual progress. And your mind gets purer every day. That's Sattvic thinking. Rajas or Rajasic thinking means that the state of mind in which your thoughts, words, and leads to developing and feeding the ego. And you exist in material world. Tamasic or tamas thinking means that your state of mind are thoughts, words, and deeds which leads to darkness, and you exist in that ignorant state. You don't improve every day. You're stagnant and you almost move backwards. Which one are you? In the simplest form, the sattvic person leads, his thinking leads him into progress, steady progress. Right? The tamasic person is stagnant and moving backwards. The rajasic person is kind of not moving back, not moving forward, just staying there. So which one are we? So again, do we commit ourselves to Mandir and doing all the things we do selflessly for the sake of Mandir and society because it is the right thing to do in our hearts? Do we do this? Or do we do them for the sake of ego, position, honor, money, or personal glory? We have to think about these seriously in our minds. Because this is the basis of our Vedic and Bhagavad Gita teachings. Conquering the ego, finding peace of mind. You cannot find peace of mind without first conquering the ego. This is how crucial this is. So through discipline and practice, we can achieve this. But we have to be conscious of what we want to achieve and be willing to put in the discipline and the practice to achieving those. So I know that we have a lot to do after this, but my message is, let us build bridges, not walls. Let us not respond to dislike with dislike. Let us not respond to hate with hate. So to summarize, first, we must understand that there is no rule book or law that says anyone has to absolutely like me or you. Once we accept this, then we're not judgmental. We are tolerant. We have more patience with people. Number two, you should have no feeling of dislike or hate for anyone. This is basic Hinduism. For us Aryans, this should be an Aryan, something that it should dictate whether we are Aryan or not. We should not allow hate or dislike in our minds for any one person. We must realize that we are born out of love, with love, for love, and to love. 3, we realize that we create all the barking dogs in our lives. No one else. Find peace with ourselves, and we shall find quietness with all the other dogs. 4, do our duty to the best of our ability and leave the rest in the hands of God. Bharosa kar, tu Ishwar par, tujhe rona nahi hoga. Lastly, let us examine ourselves and identify which of the 3 gunas correspond to us. Are you of the sattvic nature, the rajasic nature, or the tamasic nature? You remember what we said? Sattva means that you engage in thoughts that leads to a higher progressive state. The rajas mean you're stagnant. You're doing and you're satisfying your ego and your materialness, and you're stagnant. Tamas mean that you're not just stagnant, but you're going backwards. You're losing yourself in the darkness of your existence. Be your own judge and decide which of these you reside in. And my fellow souls, only when we have taken the time to identify ourselves, where we are in our spiritual journey, will we be willing to take the necessary step to continue to fix ourselves, to move in the right direction. This is called introspection. I've always said this, and I'll leave this thought with you. I've always said this: introspection is not something that comes natural. Just as listening to ourselves does not come natural. I don't think everybody can hear themselves. We can't hear how bad we sound, how rude we sound, how abrasive our words come out. We can't hear that. We need to develop it. We need to practice it. Introspection meaning looking in that proverbial spiritual mirror and looking at yourself and say, yes, I find this wrong in me and I shall fix this. So I ask you, let us look in that spiritual mirror. Let us do introspection. Let us listen to our own voices. Let us choose the right words. Say those right words in the right tone of voice, at the right time, to the right people, and build bridges, not walls. I thank all of you for being a kind, patient audience. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate is perfect, all is complete, with love and humility in my heart. Namaste.